Most reviews of the new DJI Mic 2 system will tell you that its most significant and biggest feature is its ability to record in 32-bit float. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but realistically for most content creators, 32-bit float isn't going to provide you with any noticeable benefit. And even if you were to buy the DJI Mic 2 system, there's a good chance that you may actually never even use it. For me, one of the best things about the introduction of the new DJI Mic 2 system is that you can now buy the original DJI Mic system for the bargain price of $249, a full $100 less than the new Mic 2 system. Now, I'm not saying that the new Mic 2 system isn't a good system or that you shouldn't buy it. On the contrary, I think DJI have been listening to their customers and they've provided the new Mic 2 system with a number of really nice enhancements that overall make this a better system than the original. But here's the thing, will those changes make any noticeable difference to the audio quality of your content, or will it make your user experience any better than with the original? And do those changes make it worth spending an extra $100 for? Well, that's what we plan to find out. So, after a few delays, I finally received my new DJI Mic 2 system, and this is going to be one of several videos I'm going to be posting about this new system. This particular video is going to be the general review and in particular comparison to the original DJI Mic system. We're going to be looking at what has changed in terms of the overall design, the operation, the features and performance, and yes, of course, that will include some audio comparison tests between the new Mic 2 system and the original. Now, of course, there's a lot to cover here, so I'm going to place the chapters up here and on the video timeline to allow you to skip straight to the section or sections you're most interested in. And before we get started, of course, the usual disclaimer, this video is not sponsored or paid for in any way. All of the equipment was purchased with my own money, and the opinions are entirely my own. Also, if you enjoy the video and get good information out of it, please give us a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to the channel. So let's get on with it. Okay, let's start out with a brief overview of the new DJI Mic 2 system. Now, if you're already familiar with the original DJI Mic system, a lot of this is going to be material that you already know, so please feel free to skip ahead to the next section. So what we have here is the two microphone or two transmitter version of the DJI Mic 2. So we have two wireless transmitters or microphones and a single wireless receiver which can be linked to either one of these microphones or both of these microphones at the same time. Now, the receiver then is physically plugged into your recording device. If you have a DSLR, mirrorless, or other type of camera, typically that's going to be by way of this 3.5mm TRS analog audio cable. But the kit also comes with additional adapters, including a Lightning adapter for plugging into your iPhone, and a USB-C adapter for plugging into your computer, your Android phone, or any camera or other device which supports the USB-C audio profile. Now, these components all come together in this very nice case, which is a battery case, much like Apple introduced with their AirPods a few years ago. The case itself has its own batteries, so as long as these components are in the case, they will be charged by the case. And of course, on the back of the case, there is a USB-C input for charging the case itself. And also each of the individual components also has its own USB port for charging the device out of the case or also for data transfer. Now, as I said before, this is the two transmitter kit which comes in at $349. For $219, you can buy a single transmitter kit, which consists of obviously a single transmitter together with the receiver and adapters. But with the single transmitter kit, you do not get the charging case. Now, you can also purchase just the transmitter by itself for $99. And the main reason you might want to do that is because the DJI Mic 2 transmitter also supports Bluetooth connectivity, so you can connect the transmitter to a wide variety of different devices without having to use the receiver. So coming back to the 2 transmitter kit for $349, as I said, you get the 2 transmitters, the receiver, the adapters, and of course the charging case. But you also get a very nice travel case for containing the entire system with all the bits and pieces. You get 2 wind protectors, the 3.5mm cable as we mentioned before, and your USB-C cable for charging. Okay, so let's look at the differences between the original DJI Mic and the Mic 2 system, starting with the design. Now, when I say design, I'm not talking about aesthetics, I'm talking about design changes that really give you some kind of benefit. And let's start out by looking at the transmitters. Now, the new transmitter on the Mic 2 system is slightly thicker than on the old one, but it is actually lighter. So this comes in at 28 grams versus 30 grams, but really nothing that you're going to notice any difference. Now, the first key design change is they have reorganized the buttons. So on the original, you can see we have the power button next to the USB-C port, whereas now they have the single record button next to the USB-C port, and they've also added this red ring to make it more prominent. And then on the other side, on the original, you had the record button next to the link button, and on the new version we have 2 much smaller buttons for power and linking on the other side. Another key design change is the positioning of the status lights. Now you can see on the original, the status lights are here at the top corners, so you've got your status light and your recording light up here. The problem being that they're quite prominent, so if somebody's wearing this, you can actually see the lights quite easily and it can be quite distracting. Now, with a recent firmware update, they do allow you to disable the light, but then of course you lose your ability to see the status of the microphone. On the new version, they have solved this somewhat by placing the status lights on the side of the transmitter, so it's still pretty easy to see the status of the transmitter, but if somebody's wearing it like this, it's maybe not quite as distracting. Another design change that's worth mentioning is on the tops of the transmitters. So you can see here on the original we have a very small grill over the microphone, whereas on the new version there is this very large grill. Now I don't know if that's going to make any difference or it's purely aesthetic. I guess that remains to be seen in our testing. But a much more important design change on the top is the way in which the wind protectors attach. So starting out, this is the original DJI mic system, and you can see around the microphone there is a bayonet mount which you need to match up with the bayonet mount on the actual wind protector, and it's not very easy to do. I'm actually surprised I was able to do it quite that quickly, but this can take several attempts, and also once it's on, it's pretty easy for it to get dislodged. Now, if we compare that to the new design on the DJI Mic 2, what they've done is they've made basically a fake 3.5mm plug, which goes into the socket here. It's very easy to do, and once it's on, it's very stable and it's not going to come off accidentally. Next up, let's look at the receivers. Now, the new receiver is a little bit longer, as you can see here, but it's also not quite as deep as the old one, and they both weigh in at around about 27-28 grams, so there's really not a lot of difference there. You will notice, however, that the new receiver has a slightly larger display, which is always nice to have, and you also have the addition of this control wheel here. Now, I never really had any issues controlling the old receiver. It's all touchscreen, but I will say that sometimes trying to get the exact value you want on one of these sliders is not always the easiest thing to do. With this new control wheel, it's a lot simpler to simply rotate this and it will go one click at a time and then simply push to confirm your entries. So I actually do like this more than I thought I would. Now, as far as the location of the various buttons and ports are concerned, you still have the camera connection and the headphone connection down one end, although you will notice now on the new Mic 2 they have also made this prominent with this nice red ring. And if you look down the other end, whereas previously you had both the power button and the USB-C port on one end, on the new version you just have the power button. The USB-C port has been moved to the back, which I think a lot of people will prefer. The other key change when it comes to the receivers is the cold shoe. Now, on the new version, the cold shoe is now fixed. It does not come off, and it's definitely a lot sturdier than the old version. Now, with the old version, you have this removable cold shoe adapter, which clips into place. It has a strange little hinge and it clips into place and covers the terminals for the other connectors. And like many people, I was never a fan of this. It's a little bit flimsy, and also you have the problem when you take it off to put one of the adapters on. I don't know what to do with this, and I'm sure at some point I'm going to lose it. Now, as I said, the new version has a fixed cold shoe. There is also a cover, so a removable cover over the terminals. I guess similarly, if I remove this, and I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with it, I'm sure I'll end up losing it, but at least if I lose this, I still have my cold shoe in place and it's not going to be that big a deal. And finally, let's talk about the cases. Now, as you can see, the new case is quite a bit bigger than the original case. Also, it's now made of a metal alloy, which makes it quite a bit heavier. So the case itself weighs in at 200 grams versus 160 grams on the old version, and fully loaded, it weighs in at about 305 grams versus 260 grams on the old version. One other change regarding the case is it now has a latch, so you have to press the latch in order to be able to open it. Now, with the old version, it just opened like this, and I guess maybe people had issues with it coming open in a bag or something. Personally, I never had an issue with this, but I guess the new latch is an enhancement. Oh, and on the subject of cases, with the original DJI Mic system, you received this pretty crappy case. It's just a drawstring bag where you're expected to just put your stuff in it and carry it around. Something like this. Personally, this for me just went into a drawer and I just actually pulled it back out for this review. But as I showed you earlier, the new DJI Mic 2 comes with this extremely nice travel case, which of course contains the charging case, but also there's plenty of room for the wind muffs, your cables, and a couple of other accessories as well. So that's a really nice enhancement. In this section, I just want to highlight a couple of features that I've just referred to as convenience features. Now, there may be others, but I just identified these two as being particularly useful. Now, the first is called recommended camera settings. Now, what this does, it allows you to dial in a particular camera, and once you select a camera, the receiver gain will be set to the optimum levels for that particular camera, but keep in mind that is for the built-in microphones of that particular camera. Now, the list is somewhat limited. There are some of the most popular brands out there, and I counted 42 different cameras that you can dial in. I'm sure more will come with future firmware updates. The other really nice convenience feature that I found is one called Power on-off camera simultaneously. And what this does is it automatically powers on and off the receiver with the camera. As long as the camera is connected using the standard TRS cable, powering off the camera will automatically power down the receiver, and also the transmitters are set by default to turn off if they don't have a signal to the receiver for about 15 minutes. So this is a really good way of automatically powering off the system and saving battery between your shots. Now, a very cool new feature on the DJI Mic 2 system is the ability of the transmitter to act as a standalone Bluetooth microphone. So you can connect this by Bluetooth to your smartphone, to your computer, or to any camera or other device that supports a Bluetooth microphone. And that really expands the overall versatility of the system. Now, one very popular use for this is connecting to the DJI Pocket 3 camera. And in fact, when DJI launched the Pocket 3 a couple of months ago, you could actually get the transmitter as part of what they called the Creator Combo Kit, which is exactly what I did. Now, the connectivity between the Pocket 3 and the DJI Mic 2 is way more than just standard Bluetooth. And in fact, I made a complete video covering exactly this topic. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check out that video also. Now, when it comes to a more popular Bluetooth connection, a popular example is this guy, the Insta360 X3 360 camera, which supports a Bluetooth microphone, and I've tested this out also with the DJI Mic 2, and it really performs well. And again, there is a complete video detailing this, so please be sure to check that out also. So obviously I don't want to repeat all the same information that I provided in the videos that I already posted, but I do have one important update, and it concerns pairing the microphone between the Bluetooth device and the DJI Mic 2 receiver. So when I made the two videos that I just mentioned, as I said, I only had the transmitter. Now, when I received the full system just the other day, one of the things I immediately wanted to test out was, how do I connect the transmitter back and forth between the Bluetooth device and the receiver of the DJI Mic 2 system? And that's what we're going to cover now. Now, if you buy the DJI Pocket 3 Creator Combo Kit, the microphone comes already paired with the camera. But if for any reason you need to pair it, here's how it works. Basically, I'm going to power up my unpaired microphone. You can see the blue light starts flashing slowly, indicating that it's ready to be paired. In the menu of the Pocket 3, I choose the first option, which is wireless microphone. You can see here I can connect 1 or 2. So I select number 1, and it says put this into pairing mode. So I hold down the link button for a couple of seconds and it starts flashing much faster. And you can see now it's connected to my Pocket 3. And also on my screen you can see the green bar at the top, which shows the current audio level. That also is the indicator that you have an external microphone connected. Now, once this is paired, you simply power it off, it disconnects from the Pocket 3, and now it's using the onboard microphones of the Pocket 3, and whenever you power on the microphone, it immediately reconnects. This is a really cool and convenient feature. Now, if you have the Pocket 3 and you now acquire the new DJI Mic 2 system and you want to pair one of the microphones with your Pocket 3, the initial setup is just a little bit different, and that's because the Mic 2 system actually has 2 different pairing modes, and we'll talk more about that in just a second. So right now both of my microphones are paired with the receiver, as you can see here, and if I take out my microphone and I just start the pairing process, so you now see it's flashing, and I go to my microphone setup, you can see nothing happens. It does not connect. And you may also have noticed that it's flashing green instead of previously when it was flashing blue. That is because I'm currently in the dedicated pairing mode for the receiver itself. And before I can connect to a Bluetooth device such as the Pocket 3, I need to first place it in the Bluetooth pairing mode. And the way I do that is by holding down the record button for 3 seconds. And when I do that, you'll notice that the light turns blue. And now if I place it in pairing mode by holding down the pairing button, you'll see that it now links to my Pocket 3. So that's the slight difference in the initial pairing process. So now this is exactly the setup that I want to have. I have this microphone paired to my Pocket 3. I have a microphone paired to the DJI Mic 2 receiver, and I plan to use them in exactly this way. If I ever want to use 2 microphones on my receiver, or in fact 2 microphones on my DJI Pocket 3, of course I can go through the linking process to pair the second microphone to whichever device I want to use. But I do have one concern, and that is a feature which the DJI Mic 2 has, the same as the original, is all it takes is dropping the microphone into the charging case and it will automatically pair all components. But as you see, when I drop my microphone into the charging case, it powers off and disconnects from my Pocket 3, but it does not reconnect to the receiver, and that is because it is now in the Bluetooth pairing mode. When I remove it from the case, it automatically powers on and reconnects to my Pocket 3, and it's immediately ready for use. Now that is really cool. But what if I now want to use this together with the receiver on the DJI Mic 2 system? Well, all I have to do is to again put it back into the receiver mode, so hold down the record button for 3 seconds. You'll notice the light now turns to green, and when I pop it into the case, it's paired up with the receiver once again. When I remove it, of course, now it's still paired to the receiver, so it's not going to automatically connect to my Pocket 3. Unless I hold down that record button, place it back into the Bluetooth mode, and as you can see, it immediately pairs with my Pocket 3 again. So this is a really cool solution that allows me to make use of the charging case. I have everything set up the way I want it. One microphone dedicated for my Pocket 3, one to the DJI Mic receiver, and anytime I want to, I can simply link one of the microphones with the other device to have a 2-microphone system. Okay, let's talk about 32-bit float recording on the DJI Mic 2. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail in this particular video because I'm currently putting together another video, that will be this one, where we will be going through 32-bit float recording in a lot more detail, including what it is, how it can help you, what the workflow is like with the DJI Mic 2, and of course some audio comparisons of standard audio versus 32-bit float audio. Now I will be posting that video shortly after this one posts, so if you don't see it on the channel just yet, keep looking, it will be there shortly. So based on the introduction, you may be thinking that I think 32-bit float recording is a waste of time. Absolutely not. 32-bit float recording can be extremely powerful, and it is an extremely powerful feature that DJI have put into the Mic 2, but it's not for everyone. Now, if you are a professional or really serious videographer and you need the absolute best quality audio possible, or if you work in very challenging sound environments, for example, where you have very low noises and very loud noises all together on the same soundtrack, then 32-bit float absolutely will give you a major benefit. And if you are one of those type of creators, then absolutely you should consider the DJI Mic 2 specifically for that feature. But as I said at the beginning, most content creators won't really see much benefit from having 32-bit float, if they see any benefit at all. And you also have to consider that using 32-bit float on the DJI Mic 2 system introduces a lot of work into your workflow. The main reason being that you're now recording a separate audio track onto the microphone itself, stored on its internal storage, and then combining that with your video files during your video editing process. So there's more work to be done while you're recording, and there's also a lot more work to be done after you're done recording when you're doing your video editing. And again, more detail on that can be found in the separate video specifically on 32-bit float. So the bottom line here is that for most content creators, the limited benefit that you'll get from using 32-bit float really doesn't justify the extra work that you have to put in order to get the results. And again, I'm not saying that the DJI Mic 2 system isn't a great system or that you shouldn't buy it, but don't base your decision too heavily on 32-bit float recording. Okay, and finally in the What's New section, there are some audio enhancements that we need to talk about. Now, if you look on the specification comparison page, you will see that there are a few audio specifications that have been upgraded on the new microphone. That includes a small increase in the maximum sound pressure level, which should allow the new Mic 2 to handle slightly louder sounds than the original without suffering any distortion. You will also see an improvement in the maximum input level, which is a measure of the sensitivity of the microphone. And finally, you'll see that the noise specification has been improved slightly, and this will be most noticeable when you have very low-level noise or even periods of silence within your video. But the big enhancement when it comes to audio is the addition of intelligent noise cancelling. And what this does is it filters out background noise, whether you're in a crowded room with lots of people talking, whether you're out on the street with lots of traffic, whatever the case may be. Using the noise cancelling feature should allow you to isolate the voice and get better voice recording in such environments. And of course, when we do our testing, in addition to testing the standard audio versus the original DJI mic, we will also test the benefit of the noise cancellation feature. Okay, so let's do some audio comparison testing. So what we're going to do is simply do a sound check on the two different microphones. For you guys, it's going to be a blind test because I'm going to conceal the identity of the microphones from you and reveal that later on. Just to let you know, this is not a professional style studio of any kind. This is a guest bedroom / office / studio. There is no sound treatment of any kind in this room. Also, the camera for this test will be exactly the same with all identical settings. Even the identical cable will be used to connect the wireless receivers. So as far as is humanly possible, everything is completely equivalent for both tests. So let's start out with microphone A. So I am talking to you in a normal voice on microphone A to give you an idea of the sound quality of microphone A. I will also speak in a very soft voice so you can see how it handles very low sounds, maybe even give you a moment of silence. And then I will speak in a louder voice so you can see how it handles louder voices. Also, I will purposely pronounce some plosives into the microphone so you can see how it handled those also. So that concludes our sound check for microphone A. And now let's repeat our sound test for microphone B. So this is me talking to you in a normal voice using microphone B, so you can get a sense of the audio quality of microphone B. I will also talk very softly so you can see how it handles very low noises, and I will even give you some silence. And then I will continue by talking very loudly to see how the microphone handles very loud sounds. I will also purposely pronounce some plosives into the microphone so you can see how it handles those also. And so this concludes the sound check for microphone B. Okay, time to do some outdoor testing before the rain starts again. So as far as the outdoor test is concerned, we're going to start out with the basic microphone sound check, just as we did indoors. And then we're also going to do a range test. Now, the range test on both of these microphones is stated as 250 meters. Now, I'm not sure who needs to be recording audio at that kind of distance, and we're not going to try anything like that kind of distance. I'm going to head up the path here to around about a maximum of 50 meters or 150 feet, and we're going to test the audio both with and without line of sight. Also, just to let you know, there's not really much wind at the moment. I do have the wind protector in place. There is a little bit of a background noise. There is some running water over behind the trees over there. I'm not sure if you're able to pick that up or not. So let's start out once again with microphone A, and we'll start out with the basic sound check. So this is me talking to you using microphone A in a normal voice. I will also talk very quietly to see if you can still pick up my voice when I talk really quietly. I'll also give you a moment of silence. And then I will talk to you very loudly for a moment so you can pick up the high volume on this microphone. And now I guess we will do our range test. So what I'm going to do is to talk continuously as I go, as much as I can. So if you do hear long interruptions, that's because we're losing signal and not because I've stopped talking. I'm going to stop at different distances and turn around so you can see the impact of not only distance, but also how possible obstructions might cause disruptions to your audio. So I'm going to back up first of all. I'm assuming that you are having no problem continuing to hear me. And now I'm going to turn on my back, so you're going to lose line of sight to the microphone. And I'm going to head up first of all to around about 40 feet. This is like around about 13 meters that I'm at here now. And I'm going to turn to you once again. And I'm guessing this is probably still pretty clear at this kind of distance. Even if I turn my back at this distance, it should be fine. What I'll also do is I'll venture here behind the RV and see if the RV makes any difference in terms of the signal stability. So now I'm talking to you at around about 40 feet behind the RV and wondering if you can still hear me okay. And now I'm going to emerge once again. And so did you hear me behind the RV? Now I've run this test previously and had no real major issues, just a few minor disruptions. But now I'm going to turn my back and walk up the hill again. So we're going to walk up now, and I'm going to pause at around about the 100 foot mark, which is around about 32 meters, 33 meters, I guess. And we're going to pause here. So this is around about 100 feet away from the camera. I'm looking at the camera, so we have line of sight between the transmitter and the receiver. Now, if I turn my back, does that make any difference in terms of the audio quality? And what I will do is I will continue on up the hill, and I will continue all the way up to around about the 50 meter mark, which is about 150 feet. And I will continue talking as I do so. So now I have reached the 50 meter or 150 foot mark. Can you still hear me okay? You can probably just about barely see me at this point. And I'm going to turn my back once again to conclude the sound test and range test for microphone A. Okay, now it's time to repeat the test with microphone B. So let's do the sound check for microphone B. This is me talking to you in a normal voice over microphone B. So how is the sound quality on microphone B? I will talk to you in a very soft voice also to see what the audio quality is like with a very soft voice. I will also give you a moment of silence. And now I will continue by talking to you in a very loud voice to see how a loud voice comes across on microphone B. And now I guess we will do the same range test. So once again, I'm going to back up using microphone B now. I'm going to back up. I'm sure there's no issue at this point. What happens if I turn my back and walk away from you? So I'm going to walk away from you and get to around about 40 feet, around 13 meters. And once I get there, I am going to turn around once more and face the camera, giving line of sight between the transmitter and the receiver. So what is the audio quality like at 40 feet? Are there any dropouts at all? Let me once again head behind the RV so you can listen to me with an obstruction in between the transmitter and the receiver. So I'm now talking to you from around about 40 feet behind the RV, and now I am emerging once again from behind the RV, and we will then continue on our way up the hill. I will turn my back now, continuing up the hill through about 60-70 feet here, continuing up the hill, and I am going to stop at around about the 100 feet or 33 meter point. And now once again I am facing the camera, giving line of sight to the microphone. How is the sound quality at 100 feet? Now once again I'm going to turn my back and I'm going to walk up the hill once again, going up towards the 150 foot mark, where I will once again pause. Now we are at 150 feet, so around about 50 meters away from the camera with line of sight. Now, given both of these microphones have a specified range of 250 meters, this should be absolutely no problem at all. How is it if I turn my back on the camera at 50 meters? Do you hear any dropouts? Is the signal still clear? And that concludes the range test for microphone B. Okay, so which microphone was which, and which did you think sounded and performed better? Well, in both the indoor and outdoor tests, microphone A was the original DJI Mic system, and microphone B was the new DJI Mic 2 system. Now, having listened to the various test clips a few times now, when it comes to audio quality, I really cannot say that there's any significant difference between the original DJI Mic system and the new DJI Mic 2. Where we did see a slight difference was in terms of the range test. So I would say both microphones performed equally up to around about 20 meters or 60-70 feet. And beyond that, we definitely saw fewer dropouts with the Mic 2 system than with the original. Now, as long as you can maintain line of sight between the transmitter and the receiver, I think you can go pretty far on both systems. But if you are planning to go much beyond 50-60 feet from the camera, then yes, I would say the DJI Mic 2 system is going to perform slightly better for you. Okay, so this is a test inside for the noise cancellation function. Currently I have noise cancellation turned off, and what I'm going to do is enable noise cancellation. So now noise cancellation is turned on. Can you hear the difference between noise cancellation on or off? As I said, currently it is turned on. I will turn it back off again. So now you're listening to me once again with noise cancellation turned off, and I'll turn it back on again. So now once again, I'm talking to you with noise cancellation turned on. And I guess it wouldn't be a true noise cancellation test if we didn't have some noise. So right now, the other side of that door behind me, I have a vacuum cleaner going. I tried putting it in the room, but it is just way too loud. But still, it is quite loud right now that I feel I have the need to almost shout to the camera. But let's try the noise cancellation. So this is so far me talking with the noise cancellation turned off. I will turn noise cancellation on. I can see in the display that it's confirmed noise cancellation is now on. And I'm wondering if you're able to hear my voice any clearer over the sound of the vacuum cleaner in the background. Once again, I will turn noise cancellation back off again. So now I'm talking to you again without noise cancellation. And just to complete the test, let's turn noise cancellation back on again to see how effective the noise cancellation is. And now let's do our outdoor noise cancellation test. So right now there's just very low ambient noise. I'm outside talking to you and I have the wind muff in place even though there's not really much wind today. And right now I have noise cancellation turned off. I will turn on noise cancellation. I see the confirmation in the receiver display. So now I'm talking to you with noise cancellation turned on. I will turn it back off again. So now it's back off again. How does it sound outside with noise cancellation turned off? And now I've turned it back on again. So noise cancellation is back on again. What do you think? Which sounds better with basic ambient outdoor noise? And of course, it would not be a noise cancellation test without some significant noise to cancel out. So now I've fired up my diesel RV here, so we have some really nice background noise to contend with. And right now I'm talking to you with the noise cancellation turned off. So let's see how well it works when I turn it on. So now noise cancellation is turned on. How does that sound? Is it effectively cutting out the background noise from the engine and isolating my voice? What happens if I turn it back off again? So now once again, I'm talking to you with the noise cancellation turned off. And one last time, I will turn it back on again. So we will conclude the test with noise cancellation turned on. How is the sound quality difference between the two? Okay, let's just review briefly what we saw, or more importantly, what we heard in the noise cancellation tests. So overall, I think it did a good job. It definitely helped to isolate my voice over and above the background noise. But I do find that particularly indoors, it tends to make the voice sound muffled and a little artificial. And also, if I'm in an environment where there is some background noise, generally the reason I'm in that environment is because I want to give my viewers a sense of that environment. And of course, the background noise is also part of that experience. So yes, definitely there are going to be situations where having the noise cancellation is a very useful feature, but I would say for most of my videos, I will not be using this feature. Okay, so that concludes our review and comparison of the new DJI Mic 2 system. What did you think? I would be very interested to hear your thoughts. Please go ahead and put those into the comments section. Now, clearly, I think it's fair to say that DJI have done a really good job of providing upgrades from the original to the DJI Mic 2 system. That being said, for most creators using standard conditions, I'm not sure you're really going to notice a lot of difference, if any, in the audio quality of your content. We also saw there are a few nice new design changes and convenience features that make the user experience overall a little bit better, but I'm not sure those alone will justify spending an extra $100 on this system. So I think The key decision in terms of should you buy the original for $249 or should you buy the new one for $349 or should you upgrade from one to the other really depends on those three key differentiated features. The first being the Bluetooth connectivity. Now this could be a huge feature for anybody who wants to take the transmitter, use it with the receiver, and then also use it with a Bluetooth device, particularly if your Bluetooth device is the DJI Pocket 3. This is a really powerful combination. But do keep in mind that you could also just buy the transmitter by itself in order to do that. The second key differentiator is the 32-bit float, and as I said before, I don't think this is a feature for everybody, but if you are one of those creators who needs that absolute ultimate audio quality, or you deal with very challenging sound environments, that could also be a key decision maker to drive you towards the DJI Mic 2. But I should also mention that the original DJI Mic, while it doesn't offer 32-bit float, it does offer onboard recording in 24-bit, which will also give you an enhancement for challenging sound situations. And the third differentiator, I think, is the noise cancelling feature. As I said also, I don't think personally for my type of content creation that I will be making a lot of use of this, but I can see certain situations where the noise cancelling feature will help you get a message across when you're competing against a significant background noise. So that wraps it up. Again, I would love to hear your input and comments on this. Please add those to the comments section. And also please remember, if you enjoyed the video, got good information out of it, please give us a like and also consider subscribing to the channel for a lot more content on tech, travel, and leisure. Thank you for watching.